Hello fellow leggers, thank you for joining us on this special occasion. This is our first time to the Regents Park Open Air Theatre in London.
Where we are seeing the Pulitzer Prize winning classic play, Our Town.
So stick around to hear all of our thoughts.
Find out how many stars.
Whether it's break a leg
Or
leg
leg
it. Open air theatre, and you've been telling me is literally an open air theatre. So if it rains,
Yes, if it rains, you're gonna get wet until the point at which they call the performance off, because it is completely exposed in this auditorium.
I don't know how I feel about that. It's a bit of a risk taking.
Fine on a
we've
lovely day, but we are in Britain, so
taken a
who
bit of
knows?
a risk to get here, and if it rains and gets pulled off, I don't know how I'd feel.
Well,
I'm just saying.
how
I'm
we
just putting it
do
out there.
feel is very grateful to London Box Office
Yes,
for
thank
gifting
you.
us these tickets to come along tonight. Check them out. They have tickets from across the West End and beyond. Sometimes have some fantastic deals as well. So we'll put the link down in the description so you can check out what London Box Office have to offer.
And the other thing I always love about London Box Office is they've also got a section where they have honest reviews.
Yeah, by independent bloggers
Yeah.
and vloggers, so you'll always know that you can trust them. There's a wide range of opinions, so check that part out too. But we're here to see Our Town. Do you know
Okay.
anything about it? Heard of it?
No.
Well, it's by Thornton Wilder, and it premiered in 1938 in Princeton, New Jersey. The play later went on that year to have great success on Broadway, with widespread critical and commercial acclaim, culminating in the playwright receiving a Pulitzer Prize for drama for this play.
Okay, sounds good.
Interesting anecdote, actually. The Soviet Union banned a production of this play taking place in Russian-occupied Berlin in 1946 on the grounds that, and I quote, "the drama is too depressing and could inspire a German suicide wave."
Is that because it's deep?
Well, in spite of all of that, the play is
I like it.
regularly produced worldwide, and the production on Broadway in 1989 won the Tony Award for Best Revival, beating out the likes of Ain't Misbehaving and Our Wilderness.
Okay, some real potential here.
A little bit about the play. It's a meta-theatrical piece which sets the play in the actual theatre of which it's being performed.
And that's what meta theatre is?
That's what meta-theatre is. Now, the stage manager in the piece acts as sort of compere/narrator for the evening, and it sees the actors ask questions of the audience and asks everybody, do human beings ever realise life as they live it? And
Is it like a Matrix? The
Maybe.
Matrix of its day?
But
That
we'll
sounds
see
very
the
philosophical.
years pass by in the life of a small town and its people.
Okay.
Directing by Ellen McDougall. Runtime about 2 hours-ish, including intervals, so not a mega long one. And it's playing here at the Regent Open Air Theatre until the 8th of June.
Okay, so an interval, stick around to hear our 30-second interval breakdown thoughts.
Yeah, and stick around to the end to find out how many stars.
We have come to the interval, which means it is time for the break-a-leggers 30-second interval breakdown.
So, what do you think so far?
I am not enjoying it at all. I'm pretty bored, if I'm honest. A lovely, rich, diverse cast, but a story that has no real drama at this stage in the piece, so I'm left wanting. How about you?
I think it's got some interesting things to say about things not changing as time goes on, and we take notice of the big important things, but we lose the everyday. I'm interested to see where it goes in the second half. Yeah, there's no high drama, but you know, I don't...
Oh, Leggers, we have come to the end of Our Town. What did you make of it come the end, Legger Simon?
I think it's something that you have to look on with a huge amount of sort of retrospective, and that's sort of what the piece is also saying. You've got to understand the time period from where this comes from, and the fact that it was written in the what did we say earlier, like the
Early 1900s?
Yeah, like the 1930s. It was recent history for those people because it's set at the turn of the century, and I think it would have had something to say about how life was moving on and the pace of life was becoming something that was unfathomable. You know, technology was moving at such a pace that had never been seen before. Things that they took for granted, like running water by then, it wasn't even around back then. And I just think that it's something that is very much of its time and of its place. It's an American story about a specifically American period. things that they dealt with that only they dealt with. And as a result, in 2019, I think it struggles.
There's only one key message which comes out pretty close to the end. Everything else is really a bit of a build-up to it. This idea of, live life in the now.
Well, it's sniff and stop and smell the roses about it,
we
isn't
don't
there?
appreciate what we've got until it's gone.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you knew like you were going to die tomorrow, how much more would you live today?
Yeah.
If you'd go out, you'd party, you'd dance on tables.
I mean,
and that's the message. But
which
boy,
is
he's a slow getting there.
and that sort of mentality only goes up to a point. I mean, it's wholly and hugely idealistic. Unfortunately, we have bills to pay. We have to earn money in order to enjoy the finer things in life. To just say, shrug off those bonds.
It ain't that simple, honey.
It's not that simple. And
it's a nice sentiment.
It's a nice sentiment, but this boils it down to its most basic parts. And as a result, I just left thinking, it was unrealistic, is what I found it to be. Even though it's a piece about realism.
I see echoes of It's a Wonderful Life, the movie, in there, even to a stretch, Carousel, towards the end, where we've got this kind of being led by an angel looking down on people who are still alive. There's
gaining
very
perspective on sort of life.
Yeah,
and
those
having someone
elements.
force that into you. Let's talk about the meta-theatrical elements of it now, about having somebody lead us through the story and dictating to us, what we should or shouldn't think and where we are and where we aren't.
I think at the time, what you're saying is right. At the time, this must have been a bit
groundbreaking, right?
Ooh, okay, you've not seen this done like this before. We've seen this done like this now. So, I think with a lot more pace, a lot more drama, I think we've refined and writers have defined clear drama and plot throughout selling a message like this. I was just bored through quite a lot of it.
I felt like it was something that you would study, like you need to study this and really unpick the time from when it's from and what it's saying. It doesn't have any of the sort of wit and historical relevance for me as a great Shakespeare play that you would unpick in such the same way, but I do think it's more of a student's piece.
Okay.
Let's move on to some performances. Laura Rogers in the role of the stage manager. She plays other parts as well.
Kind of narrator throughout the whole piece.
I enjoyed her performance a lot, actually, and I enjoyed these different characters she took on quite unexpectedly. Most of them just played this one character throughout until defined, but she got the opportunity to really spin it. And when she stepped into the shoes of somebody else completely, I was surprised by her. I liked it.
Because it's quite a large cast, really. There's 18 people, I think, I counted on stage throughout the whole thing.
Also,
filling the stage.
Like to mention Francesca Henry as Emily Webb. It's sort of her piece, really. I think come the end, it's absolutely her story, and it is her life in 2 hours. It is her existence from birth to death and everything in between. I go back to it again. I like the way that she embodied this idea that there's not much that separates us, and there's an expectation that you have to follow when you're a human being of having a job and getting married, and everyone does the same things, and ultimately we all end up in the same place, which is 6 feet under. And I enjoyed her characterisation in that.
That sounds like a really interesting message. Did that resonate with you? Did you think I want to get on board with that train that is going towards marriage and those expectations, or not?
I think it's each to their own, and I think it's now each to their own, but I think historically it would have been very different. It would have been an expectation, wouldn't it? Whereas now marriage is more of a choice. I feel like we have empowerment over that, whereas back then they didn't. It was something that was spelt out for you. It was almost arranged, and in some cultures it still exists.
Interesting. Just got me thinking, like a Simon.
Oh. Also, I would like to mention Pandora Collin in the role of Mrs. Gibbs. I thought that she was good.
Okay, good. The cast was capable. Oh, yeah. You know, that capable performers. what I did say, as I mentioned in the interval breakdown, was the diversity of
Yeah,
the cast,
and the-
real mix of age groups,
Yes.
representation on
Yes,
point. So I like that
yes.
they could easily have got stuck with a piece like this,
Yeah.
but they didn't. So
No.
that gets a thumbs up.
Nice to see Gary Robson in a different part. We saw him in White Christmas, which we have a review for. That's coming back. I don't know if he's going back into it when he goes to the Dominion at Christmas. But yes, it was nice to see him in something new. Let's talk about creative team then. Designer Rosie L. Nile for the set.
It's a reflection of us. It's the audience
Yeah.
put on stage. So
Yeah.
the auditorium is represented on stage, and at different points, the cast members go up into the stage auditorium
Yeah.
and are sat there
I think
looking
it's
back
important
at
to
us.
say that this piece is traditionally performed without the use of props or scenery, and always has been that way. It's in the state, it's
Okay.
in the direction within the script. For it to be wholly imagined, or by and large mostly imagined by the audience, they're asking you to do a lot of the work here, and as a result, like I say, I think we're going to take different things from it, which I think we should.
But there was props.
Yeah, there
and
were
was,
occasionally props.
So it wasn't entirely no props.
What I'd have liked more of actually is more music. I
Yes,
thought
there
where
was
the-
a lovely moment
Yeah.
in the final act, actually, where suddenly the music came in,
I think we
and
could
we
have
had a
it
bit of
sooner.
production.
Yeah, we could have had it sooner. Orlando Goff did the music, but I would have liked more of his work actually.
Yeah.
Thought that was
Maybe that
too
would have
little,
helped
too late.
drive the earlier sections.
Something else that we always like to call out: dialect coach Danielle Lydon. Thought the accents were good.
Okay.
Song and consistent. But the director Ellie McDougall, it's a tough piece. It's a really tough piece.
I just don't. And
it's
I
not
think
something
it's the piece
I-
that
it's not something I would run towards as a director. It's not something that I feel like I would have a huge amount to add to it. So I mean, I admire her for taking it on.
Okay. I guess you're probably wondering how many stars we are going to give Our Town, which is currently playing here at the Open Air Theatre in Regent's Park, London.
We are going to give 2.
2 stars.
Yeah,
for
just
this
didn't
piece.
do anything for us by and large. Some capable performances, but as you would expect, it's lovely to experience theatre outdoors and see it in a new venue. But I think this piece just doesn't, for me, resonate today. It feels more like a boring history lesson.
It felt quite dirgy at times and quite slow. Even the songs were quite very
There
laboured.
is
I wanted
music.
some injection of
In
some
hymn
point.
tunes by William Biggins and Ananias Davison.
The whole thing just lacked any
Any
gusto,
drive.
and then that comes from the text firstly, and
Yeah.
to say the drama, which means the cast is not left with much. There's
Yeah.
not much in production.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never seen, since we've been reviewing, since we've been very theatre active, I've not seen other productions of this on. And I would say if it's something that you're interested in seeing, the only reason I knew about it was because of the film Wonder, and they stage it in the film Wonder, so I was sort of aware that it existed. But I mean, I wouldn't be rushing back to see it again personally. But I would say if you've been interested in that period in history or what made good theatre in 1938, then come and see it. Because that's just what
Some
I think.
interesting monologues, I guess, in there as well. So if you're in this third act, I think it was, the narrator character had some nice stuff. So could be something in there.
There's some value, but not a huge amount. But it's just what you think. Right?
Hey, that's totally just what I think.
We'd love to hear what you think. We'd love for you to join us again. If you enjoy us, please hit subscribe because we're the Breaker Leggers.
And we'll catch you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.